proposed building in the public safety complex. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I just wanted to, there's been just some shifting, and we've had seen a few transfers come in with money moving around a little bit, and there's been activity up there. So wanted to have this session so that we could get an update on where the project is. And in that way, our new members also can ask any questions, and we all are heading into the same page as we get ready to enter into a new phase of the project. So I'll go ahead and Mike, pass over to you all.
Go ahead. Well, you know what, I just want to start by saying, so I asked Jason to take the lead here tonight. We have a presentation that we've prepared. Certainly interrupt us, ask questions as we go. But I do want to note that we have members of the staff in the audience from the fire department, the police department, finance. So I'll just ask if you have questions for them that they come up to the mic to answer so that everybody can hear. That way we can make sure that everyone's heard for the evening. Okay, so with that, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Council. So tonight, yes, we're going to walk you through an update on the public safety complex in EOC. And as I go through these slides, if you have questions, just please stop me and we'll take those and get you some answers. So, there we go. Okay, so we're going to go back in time a little bit and give you a brief history of the project. That feasibility study that was initially done back in 2022 and the cost analysis in 2023. I think if everybody remembers, those were done by Bostwick Design. Originally, the project was estimated at $30 million as complete. Then the purchase happened back in 2023 for $2.7 million. If you remember, that was used with ARP funding. And then we went into our first RFP, which would be for the phase 1 design. And you can see up there, I have a couple figures up there. $374,000. That was actually funded by an Urban Core economic recovery monies. And then it was supplemented with $25,000 of general fund money late last year.
And I just want to clarify, that was for the design work for phase 1, just so everybody understands that's what we paid the architects.
374,000?
Correct.
374 plus the 25,
Plus the
so
25.
400,000. That's pretty typical for a project of that size.
And that architect was Roth Mars for phase 1. Okay? And then our phase 1 construction work. And what I did was I call it A1 and AB. I'm sorry, 1A and 1B at this point. If you remember, the 1A was broke off, and that was the roof repair project. And that was due, if everybody remembers, we had Snowmageddon, an area of the roof collapsed up there. So in order to separate that, and at the time the thought was to expedite it, we separated that off. That project, you see the start date up there, that's a contractual start date, August 19th. And then 1B is our four prime contracts. We have general contracting, plumbing, mechanical, which is HVAC, and electrical. And the contractual start date of that was October 28th.
I don't want to get ahead of it in case this is in that. Did you have the cost breakdown of phase 1A and B next? Okay.
We do, yeah, and those are going to be some slides coming up.
Thank you.
And then, of course, council remembers the bond issue in November. And then, well, just to give you an idea of the target there, the phase 1, and that includes A and B, anticipated end date in fall of 2026. Okay, and then go into a little bit of programming here on phase 1, and these are the work items that are earmarked for that. You can see the fire mechanics, the maintenance repairs of fire equipment and ladder truck, Horace, which is our canine, the self-contained breathing apparatus room, conference and lunch rooms, restrooms and showers, and gear storage and IT room.
So,
and there's our...
This phase, we call it it's basically the fire department operations. So all of those items there you can see were needs from the fire department. Most of those were at Marsh Street, and they're moved up here. And yeah, we left the dog in for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does it take a year to do the roof?
Well, the roof actually should be done much sooner than that. Yeah, it has been a slow, that part of the roof contractor has been slow. A lot of that's been due to the weather, though, with the cold temperatures and everything, and some material procurement issues that they had early on.
It started in August?
Well, contractually, but there was some delay there, yeah. Okay, so our budget to date. So you can see there the bond number, the 20.5 million that I'm sure everybody remembers. And then these are our current contractual items we have. And you can see the 5 construction contracts, of course, one more time, that is the roof, and then the other 4 that I already mentioned, for about 4.5. We have 2 equipment contracts coming in at about $300,000. And actually, council's gonna see those on your agenda that comes out tomorrow. And that vendor is gonna be listed under, I don't remember what it was, Mohawk Lifts. So you'll see those on your upcoming agenda. And that equipment is what adds into that line item there. And then we had a small purchase order for Gene Davis that we did last year for $5,200. Okay, and then these are anticipated expenses, again, for Phase 1 that are coming up in the future in order to complete Phase 1. We have some VNet fiber. This is essentially to run the line in from the street. And there is a EPD grant for that. It's about $14,000, and the name of that is the COPS Tech and Equipment Improvement Fund. We have about $300,000 earmarked for network cabling and security with DES. Additional EFD equipment, so this will be in addition to what you'll see in your next agenda, for about another $200,000. That brings that sum total for fire department equipment to about $500,000, we estimate, when it's all added together. And then what I have here are 2 change orders and those are both estimates that we put in, one for architect and one for contractor, and we just took 15% of our numbers to put those in, because in all reality, everybody knows there's going to be change orders on the project. It always seems to happen, so.
Can you walk me through just the VNet fiber part of it?
Yeah, sure. So what that is that's essentially, and there's been a lot of discussion lately on this, but I believe where we're at right now is we're going to have to do 2 pole sets off of French Street, and then the fiber will go aerial off of French Street to the 2 poles, and then go into the basement of the Miller Brothers building.
Is this going to bring VNet, is it going to bring it to more of that neighborhood? Is it coming down off of,
No, this is strictly for us. This is strictly for the project,
Okay.
just to get the VNet fiber run from the street. So I believe that the VNet exists right by the Siebenberger Club on French Street, and that's just to get it run into the complex.
We had them in last year, and there was just discussion around wanting to do maybe a little bit more like underground, and so I was just curious if there was another part during the build-out where it could be run underground versus above, but I don't actually know about streets and stuff, so maybe that's not real. It was more of a curiosity.
Okay. Any other questions on this slide?
What's additional equipment? What else do they have to buy?
Which one?
Additional fire equipment.
Oh, the additional fire equipment? Those were, I think we actually have a slide coming up on all the fire equipment.
Okay, we can wait.
So yeah, actually we do.
Yeah, we do.
So I'll be hitting on that one. Anything else? Okay.
So these next slides break down each of the contracts. So Dr. Titus, as you asked, kind of, are we going to see the breakdown? Each of these slides now is going to go through the roof cost, the GC cost, and so that's what this next series will be.
Thank you.
If Jason can get it to work.
There we go. Okay, so that's our roof contract. And this is A1 Construction and Painting. And you can see there, back to your question on that there, Councilman, you see spring of 2026, we anticipate that work to be done. And right now, that contract is just under $800,000.
Is that a local contractor? Where's the
No,
contractor?
they're actually out of, I think it's Tonawanda in New York.
I do want to say here, just for council, you know, this was budgeted much higher. It did come in, you know, significantly under when the bid was received. And originally, there was an intent, if you remember, there was a conversation with you, because I remember I was sitting in the audience, about taking this cost out of ARP interest. But because it came in so much lower, instead it was actually taken from the bond proceeds. So that ARP interest fund was protected and not used for this purpose. So I'm not sure if you were ever made aware of that, but that might have been one of those changes that you heard about that did happen. Because it came in so much lower, it was able to be paid for out of the bond proceeds.
And then could you just give a little bit of history there too? Because that came in lower, but we've already seen 2 more increases come through
Yeah.
on this specific.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
yes, I can. So that original, the original price came in at 684, and then we had, you're correct, there were 2 change orders. We had $69,000 for the purlin work, for this roof reinforcement, and then we had a second change order for $44,000 for the parapet wall. And that's the one, if you remember, I came to caucus and showed the picture of the block wall that we had to build up in order to tie the purlins in to make the slope uniform the whole way across. I think that was the second change order we just did. And then those added up brings us to where we're at today, which is at the 797.
Is there any still like more of that structural side? Is it more like where we're going to see like this big thing still has to happen so the roof can go? Like, are we now like have the base so the roof is ready to go?
Yeah, as far as most things go, there is some more masonry work that needs done up there, but I think we're in good shape for that at this point.
Will you be able to make the slide deck available?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I sent it to the clerk this afternoon. They'll be sending it to you.
Okay, good. Okay, there's our GC, so that's Perry. And I'm not gonna, I'll just say it the first time, but they're all 4 of these contracts are all anticipated to run concurrently and conclude in the fall of 2026. Okay, and then you can see each one there. Perry's is 1.6, and our electrical is Newco for 844. Our plumbing is Spader for 577, and then our mechanical HVAC is Scobell for 574.
All of them in town?
Yeah, yes. Those are all 4 local contractors.
How many, like plumbing, for example, how many usually submit do they, when it comes to like getting the contract for that? You get a lot of like bids?
Oh, how many bids?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, I don't know exactly, Ralph Mars remembers. How many? Several for each prime? Yeah, I was gonna say around 3. 3 and 5 for 1.
Huh? Who?
Very good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, here's to get back to the question about the fire equipment. We have our listing here. We have post lifts. We have mobile columns for the large trucks, an air compressor, the SCBA washer, your extractor, gear dryer. I think tire machine and wheel balancer. I think that's one of the ones that's on your upcoming agenda, if I'm correct, Len?
Yes. It is.
Yeah, that's with Mohawk. And then lube and oil distribution and metering, and waste oil collection and storage. So those are all the items that are essentially feed into that $500,000 for the grand total that we expect for that.
Were those services or equipment that we've had before at other places? Like in other like fire?
I believe, is all that up at Marsh now?
Chief, can you come to the mic and just maybe talk briefly about this?
We don't currently have most of that equipment at Marsh Street because Marsh Street won't accommodate that equipment. Of course, we have an air compressor up there that's over 30 years old. So that's why we have a new one. The lifts are all new to the fire department, like I said, because Marsh Street would not handle those. Basically, a lot of that equipment brings us from working like we were in the 1950s up into current times. The gear washer, dryer, the SCBA washer, those are all new to Marsh Street.
I think, I thank you for explaining that out. I just think it's important for not just council to hear, but for the public to know that how much is being invested, but is improving, right? And how much you were having to piecemeal stuff together before. So I just think it's important
and it's
for
not
people
just
to see.
for standards of working on things, but a lot of these are enhanced safety items also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Len, real quick, the washers and dryers, are they going to replace the ones that are in the houses, or?
No, each house has a gear washer
Right.
and extractor,
Right.
or a dryer. This one will be, because that's where we keep all of our gear, the spare gear, the used gear, and all that stuff.
Right.
And when that comes into the quartermaster, whether they got new gear or it's a retiree or whatever, then it can be washed and put away, dried. Or if, we have a large incident,
So
that
is
they
that,
need.
this is going to be used for mainly is like larger incidents, or?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, that's strictly for gear.
right, but
Yeah.
that's the ones in the houses too. They have
Yeah, the
certain-
ones in the houses they use for normal
Okay,
use to
okay,
keep their stuff. It's,
Yeah.
basically safety, cancer prevention,
Right,
stuff
right.
like that to keep
Yeah.
all that stuff clean.
I get it, thank you.
Hey, Chief, how's the fireman that went through the floor on 20th Street there?
He's good. He went and got checked out. They
Nothing major?
took x-rays, nothing, and he's back to work. It just that, he went through the floor, his knee was bothering him, he wanted to get checked out.
Thank you.
Okay, so this next slide here shows our bond issue. So, our grand total there of 20.5 million, you can see we have it split into two columns. It's two separate fund accounts, 4077 and 4078.
We're just
Just want to
explaining.
reconcile those numbers at the top. Those are budget line items that align with the 2026 budget.
Correct.
Those top
Correct.
numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the top line, underneath overview, you have two budget codes there, left and right. So the one on the left, that's, all we did there was, we're showing how the 20.5 million gets split out, between the left side of which is essentially most of the construction work, and then the right side, that's $1 million into the equipment line item, which is the 4078. And, but this is for the entire big picture project, so
So
when we
that
talk.
line item actually just, because it's transferred from the bond issue, is that if I were to pick up, which I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, the budget, then I would be able to look at those line item numbers and see that money is already encumbered, and that it's coming from those line items transferred out from whatever that line item that equates to the bond and transferred in, or are those just the line item numbers for the overall budget?
Can I ask Melissa to come to the mic and answer your questions? Melissa, do you mind?
So when we put through the ordinance,
And
In
let me
December?
apologize first, because I'm just new, and man, I'm excited about this stuff, but, our job is fiscal agent, and so I just need to know where that money's coming from, where it's going, how it's being reconciled, so we be in accordance with Gatsby, right?
absolutely. So when we put an ordinance through December 17th, that's when it passed the second reading. We put the 19.5 million in construction, and then we put the 1 million in equipment. If you were to go into our system, you could go into Fund 021, that's all the bond money, and it'll show you exactly what's being taken out. And this is exactly, so far, as of
Gotcha.
yesterday, what we've taken out.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. I just want to be operating with the same information.
Yep.
Any other questions on this slide? That actually stands for work in progress there.
It's actually better if it wasn't an asphalt was.
Okay, so-
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. And these, okay, so these are timelines to know, and this is in relation to the bond spend down. 5% must be expended in 6 months, and then 85% must be expended in 3 years.
We just share that with council to make sure you understand why we feel the need to keep moving forward, obviously, because we can't just hold on to this money forever, and it has to be used for this purpose.
And we have 3 slides here just to show you the ongoing construction work up there. Again, I think all these basically focus on the roof work, so you can see that area. There we go. Now that shows you can see the parapet wall there in the background, and the purlins. And then there's another one.
Is
those
that
are
curved, or
recent
is that,
slides.
is that curved, or is that sloped?
Yeah, well, yeah, that one's a little better. That one's kind of, I think it might be the angle there. That one there, you can kind of see it a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Councilman Horton, have you had a chance to go up there?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I actually I'm negligent because I was going to reach out to Chief Laura, and I still intend on just to, make contact, but I'd love to go up and see. Yeah, thank you so much, brother.
And that's for anyone, I think most of you've been up, but if you would like to, of course, anytime.
And I'm probably asking more questions because despite what he says, most of you remember, actually, I wasn't here, so I don't remember. And I appreciate him taking the time, you all taking the time to indulge me.
I think I love questions.
Yeah, these are important, and I asked that we include this slide. I think it's helpful for you to see all the revenue that we're talking about and then all the expenses, as in a typical capital budget, that's how we would see this. So, you can see this is just for phase 1. This is just what we're completing now. You can see the ARP capital budget dollars that was used for the purchase, the 2.7. You see the bond issue proceeds there that that we intend to use for this part of the project, and then some miscellaneous dollars. Some of that was what Jason noted with the urban core revenue, for about a total of $9 million. And then you can see down below the expenses. So the purchase, again, 2.7, construction about 5.5, equipment about $500,000 when it's all said and done, and then the architectural services. So I don't know that council had ever seen all of this together, and so I think it's important that you do, so you understand the comprehensive picture here. So this part of the project coming in around $9 million, Jason. That includes the purchase, by the way. So when you think about that original $30 million number you were given, that didn't include the purchase amount. So just to be clear. So this is coming in really well under budget for phase 1, even if you include the purchase price in that.
So we have the $20 million bond, so that leaves us, well, actually, I'm going to.
We're going to show you as we move forward
Thank you.
what's left,
Okay.
than what we have left
Thank
for.
you for reading my mind.
Well,
with this question.
hoping to anticipate your questions.
Are we still with the same architects, or what's going on there?
So phase 1, phase 1 is still Roth Mars. That's their project. We'll get into, but with phase 2 coming up, that'll be a new RFP going out.
Oh, okay,
So-
hasn't been bid out yet.
Yeah, we'll go out for services. And then the phase 3, as that develops, which is down the road, there will be a third round.
Great.
That's kind of all we have for phase 1. Do you all feel comfortable with that? And then we'll kind of move on to phase 2, if that's okay? Great. Okay.
Okay, so phase 2 is our EOC, which is our Emergency Operations Center. And we see our functions as central command and support center during any disaster situation, helps with the efficiency and effectiveness of disaster response, communications and information flow between agencies, and then it can serve as a central meeting place for agencies involved in the emergency support functions, or ESFs.
Where are we doing that now?
We aren't. We don't have a centralized place for that.
Actually, kind of do, we don't have a legitimate EOC,
Structure.
but right now, in an emergency situation, depending on the emergency, the police use a room on the second floor, and Marsh Street, we have a small conference room that's designated as the Emergency Operations Center since like 1990. So it doesn't meet the standards right now, but that's what we have right now. And
Clarification.
we're required to have an EOC by the state.
Thank you.
And when we envision this, what are we, could we paint it just a little bit more in depth of a picture? Maybe, again, you're going to do that with the next slides, of just what all, when we say Emergency Operations Center, what does that mean?
Okay, so, yeah, what we'll have is, well, 2 slides coming up, one will like focus on police, and then one will be on fire. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Command post.
Well, I think, so phase 2 actually includes, there's 3 components. So there is the emergency operations, and there is some additional things for the police department. So I think your question, Dr. Titus, is what does an emergency operations center really mean? What will that include, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So Jason, I don't know if you know that, or we can have the Chief Trott come back up to the mic. I'm sure he knows, like, off the back of his hand. So Chief, with just the emergency operations center, what does that include?
Emergency Operations Center is basically a hub in any kind of emergency or disaster where all the entities can come together: fire, police, public works, finance, the administration, FEMA, PEMA. All those can get together in one place and coordinate all the efforts. There'll be room, like I'll call it the warehouse on the west side of the building. Could work as a logistics hub for any distributions like water, food, anything that we need to serve the public with. There'll be phones, internet, there's a kitchenette, there's bathrooms in case it goes on for a week or 2 weeks. It can be manned continuously. There'll be areas where we can have, cots or bunks for people to sleep. So anything that we need to do in an emergency for communications, it's a huge benefit to have everybody in one room
You bet.
so that you can talk to everybody and say, okay, there'll be computer monitors on the walls. There'll be access to where all the different agencies can have their computers and, keep track of everything. The traffic cameras, whatever they need, depending on the problem that's going on. And then everybody's there, coordinate. PEMA can be on the phone downstate. Erie can be on the phone with the county or the next county over trying to get supplies or whatever.
It's a command post or war room. My background is emergency management. I actually taught it for a number of years for the United States Air Force. So I'm a little excited, and I do know the importance and the urgency of having such a vehicle in those situations. So I can't wait till you get to that phase just to come see, because we have some real things that we don't always address here. We still have trains that run through here, and they're carrying all kind of hazardous cargo, and you're one turnover away of having to evacuate people for 3 miles, all those public housing things, and it's going to take that level of coordination and that level of on hand. So I'm pleased to see that you're moving forward that way. It's like a war room, man. You have all your tactical stuff there. And don't get me started.
Anything else?
No, I just think that's another one I think that's really important for the public to know. Like when we say that, like what does it mean with this ever-shifting climate, with an ever-shifting, where we are with the national and federal politics. I think it's important to know that we're being proactive and that this is what that entails.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing? Because I don't want to sit here and act like I'm oblivious to what's going on. I'm coming, Johnny come lately, the budget's been passed, moving down the road, the bond's going on, it's going up. But there, I would be remiss if I didn't say that the community has some concerns about that building being there on the east side under the Unified Erie Plan, where they've declared the whole east side a high crime area. They have some real concerns and some issues, and so it's really healthy to have these dialogue and this conversation so that we can go back and kind of debunk some of the stuff that's being said or at least be able to answer our constituents' questions. So I really appreciate both you and the chief and the mayor and her staff and my colleagues for having this, because I don't know what's going on with it too, but there is some concerns out there about it, and so I'll just say that.
To go,
Like Chief
to go,
Laura said, anytime you want to tour it, see what's going on, know what our plans are.
Oh, I'm good. I'm talking about the community.
Yeah.
Because we're not monolithic. I wish I could speak for the whole community.
No, but if you're there, once you're through there and you understand what's going on, you can relay that to the
That's
community.
right. Amen.
to go along with what Councilman Horton said, I was just kind of going to say something like that. Maybe since it's, sitting right next to the neighborhood, you could do some things, plan some things, to engage with the community, even host some things there, whatever, just so that people know it's there, they're comfortable with it. Just some ways to engage the community. I don't know, have a kickball game. I'm just being funny, but, ways to engage the community.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I do want to say, too, about the emergency operations. So just as an example, during the Snowmageddon crisis, I've talked to Public Works, and they told me during that, some of their staff was up at the 911 center taking calls. Some were at our garage and the streets department trying to figure out, and then finance was down here, and they're making decisions on budgets, and they're in 3 different places. Like, in an emergency, that's really inefficient. So this provides a space for all of that to happen in an efficient way. And that's just a small emergency, right? We can imagine worse, certainly.
Thank you.
All right, so going on here, our EOC, and then what we have, to just break that down a little bit further into our EPD and EFD, for our Erie Police Department Special Operations, we have our SWAT bomb squad, Special Operations, SWAT and bomb squad cover more than 13 counties in our area. What this also does is it frees up space at Municipal Garage at City Hall, and I think everybody realizes that that's really important, that we're crammed in here with office space, so.
And it's not only that we're crammed in, it makes our work difficult. So as we try to grow work, for example, with neighborhood development, and trying to make sure that we're on top of that work, we need more space for our folks to work in environments and offices that are close to one another. And so selfishly, I have asked Chief Laura to think critically about what police operations we could move out of this building where it makes sense. I mean, we understand police department's still here, but there are operations throughout this building that could be centralized. And so really appreciate the chief's work and thoughtfulness that, we could probably clear out, maybe a whole floor or parts of floors that would really
Council
help.
could use some space too.
I hear you.
Absolutely.
I hear you.
Absolutely.
So that, and at the municipal garage, right now, we have some operations up there. If we can move those to Miller Brothers, it frees up municipal garage for more work that they need to do. So, as I've said, this project, let's make the most of it, and let's make it work and make sense for all of our other spaces. And so that's what you see here. And these are kind of with the police department, some things that really are not add-ons. We're just consolidating them, getting their vehicles kind of out of the weather and making sure they're all in one place.
Well, if we're going to do it, we should make it top-notch, and we should try to make it the best that we can. Make it one that everyone will be proud of. The battles or the discussions already been had. We're moving on down the road, and we should try to make it the finest facility in the region.
Ultimately, all the evidence storage will be up at the new place?
I'm going to ask Chief Laura to come to the mic on that.
Yeah, Chief, I've seen the evidence storage area we have now. It's
Yeah,
scary.
so right now we have 4 shipping containers up at the Marsh Street garage that are full of all our evidence from here. There's some leaking issues that we had in the basement that was leaking onto evidence. Some of this evidence we have to keep for 100 years. It's homicide evidence. So ultimately, yes, what we'd like to do is move all the evidence, which clears out 2-3 rooms here in City Hall, up to there, then move our property detectives up there. They're the ones that are going to deal with the evidence. So instead of officers bringing the evidence down here, they would just go up there. There'd be a secure check-in point, be able to bring that in. And then also our crime scene unit then would ultimately be able to move up there. We'd be able to process vehicles up there. So if there's a homicide or an accident, we need to process a vehicle, we can take it up there. Instead of taking it up to the municipal garage and taking up space there, they have some space that they want to use up there. So we'd like to move them up there. And then, like I said, the more and more that we can get moved up there, I've really tried to do a comprehensive evaluation of what we could move up there that makes sense and what we can't move up there because it doesn't make sense.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay. And then our EFD Special Operations, and here we're talking about the fire administration offices, and I got to emphasize that one because this directly, if everybody remembers the issues we have up at Marsh Street currently, and those offices are up there, and then I believe those 10 offices or so will be moved here, which then frees up the space at Marsh Street in order to improve the conditions for our Parks Department. So,
Jason, can you talk about where Parks is now, why that's an improvement?
yeah, sure. So, if you remember, we brought in a trailer. I believe it was back in 2024, probably late that year, I think it was, and that's when we had the problem in the basement up at 311 Marsh. So currently, our Parks office space is functioning out of that trailer, which we have in the back. We also have that pole barn back there. None of this is ideal, so this was always known to be temporary for them. But once this happens, then our Parks employees will be able to move into that top floor of Millbrook, or I'm sorry, top floor of Marsh Street.
Marsh Street, like we have gone up there, is in need of some serious love. I don't know if there's just that, that's a whole other conversation, I know. But there was like just a lot of safety concerns. I know some of that being just the weight of the fire trucks and things that were there. And so that would be remediated with the trucks not being there. But I would be curious just to kind of get a flush out of a plan or a concept of a plan of Marsh Street.
And I asked that question today too, when we were talking about this, and I said, how much is Marsh Street gonna need now? And, we discussed it, and it was like, once you get those major vehicles out of there, we can get the engineer back up to tell us a couple things maybe that need to be done, but we don't anticipate, it's not structurally unsound for regular work. It's just structurally unsound for the weight of fire trucks. So we don't anticipate that being an enormous project to get it up, to have offices up there.
Thank you.
So just to sum that up, the trucks will go in phase 1 to the service garage, and then the administration offices would go in phase 2. And that essentially is what will clear out that top level. So,
And so the remainder of the building?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The remainder of the building, you're talking, is it in plans for being upgraded, or is it any plans on the table, or is it any discussion? I mean, you got the top floor, but it's an old building.
Oh, of Marsh Street, you mean?
Yeah.
I see.
Marsh. Yeah, well, we're definitely going to be looking at that. I mean, a lot of the office space, I think, is pretty good on that side, but it's definitely good. That's an old building. I think it was 1933 is that building. So it's going to need some, it'll need some ongoing maintenance and projects up there.
Is all the ADA stuff, will it meet all of those requirements, or is that type of stuff that has to be addressed?
For
Marsh Street?
There could be some, but I mean, it is an existing building, so I'm not sure that there's a code requirement for it.
Chief's right.
It does have a ramp already, back in, 2000, I believe, right around 2000, it was redone. It is ADA compliant.
Great.
What the standards were back then and now, I'm not sure, but it should be ADA compliant as it is now.
Yeah, and the whole office upstairs was done in 2000, so that was all remodeled and updated.
So it's all got are you talking just the top floor?
The top
offices?
floor, yes.
The offices,
Right.
Turnkey move, that's all, basically.
yeah.
I'm good.
And then we have our central location for training and equipment, the candidate physical ability test space, and I think the chief already talked about logistics hubs. And also on phase 2, I think it's important to bring up, there's the northeast corner building of the Miller Brothers complex needs a roof. So if you know which building that is, that's the building right beside the Siebenberger Club.
Right off their
French
parking
Street.
lot there.
Yeah,
At
correct.
the back end of the Siebenberger
Back in the
parking lot.
Seaburger Club. That building there, it's about 14,000 square feet. It needs a roof project, so we'd like to have that one moved into the Phase 2 project.
Is that something the bond would also cover?
Yeah, we're going to go through the numbers with you next to show you what's left, but that would all be part of this Phase 2.
So our timeline for Phase 2, so looking out ahead here, we have, you can see right now, February of 2026, we're finalizing the programming scope and budget, okay? And then that will lead into that second RFP that Councilman asked about for the Phase 2 design, and that's under development, so we expect that to be, a lot of work be done on that next month. Design consultant selection, where we'd select the architect from the different ones that put in RFP submissions would be in May. Plans and specs design September, and then we're looking at construction bidding and award in the fall of this year.
I'm just, Phase 2 requires a
Phase-
different type of ability from an architect than Phase 1. I'm just wondering if we've got an architect doing Phase 1, why that company isn't doing the whole thing? Is there a
Well, we have
governmental
to
problem
put
with that
a
or what?
complete RFP together on what Phase 2 actually looks like.
Oh, I see.
Because the
Scope of
project
work.
was broken into phases, the first one only included the specs and for this design, so we have to go back out.
They have to outline scope of work.
Correct. Yeah. And then that would leave 2027 as a construction year for Phase 2.
Of which that new roof would go into that as well.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
And then again, we did a sources and uses here. Now, this is not as clear because we don't have the design yet, so we really don't have a cost analysis quite, built out for Phase 2. We need to wait for the design. But you can see the sources, again, just giving council a sense of what money we have available to us. A federal appropriation application was submitted. It has gone through the House. It's been approved. Representative Kelly, I believe it was through his office. It's been approved through the House. Now it has to pass the United States Senate. So if it passes, we'll be awarded $2.6 million in federal appropriation. I think all of you know that there's just a lot of unknown there. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But what we do know is we have the balance of the bond issue proceeds. So you see that about $14.5 million. So assuming the appropriation comes through, we'll have around $17 million to use on Phase 2. But then you'll see we'll need design. Again, we don't know yet until that RFP goes out. We don't know what the cost will be. We're estimating, though, somewhere around $500,000 for a project of this size for design, and then construction and equipment. So when you look at that, it
Hold on a second.
Yep.
A project of this size, Phase 2, you're talking? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Based on what we saw in Phase 1. That seems, but we'll see. We'll see how it comes back.
I'm always, I'm 33-year union laborer, so I'm always, and I know construction costs are going, you can count on them increasing about 15 to 20% annually.
Absolutely.
So I'm just, that's the cost. I'm not talking about the design
Sure.
portion of it, but
Sure.
$500,000 for design, it kind of makes me scratch my head.
Well, you know what, Councilman, we'll see how those proposals come in, and then maybe we can have a more robust conversation about that. But I think it's unlikely that we're going to have much left after Phase 2. I mean, given to your point about the cost of construction, but we'll see. We'll see after design and after everything goes out to bid, but, that's what we'll have to work with in Phase 2. Questions on that?
Any more questions on that slide? Okay. So what we did here, I believe this is the last one. Yeah. So Phase 3, and we put this slide in here on the end with, community safety. As the mayor said, to be determined, and a lot of this is going to do with whatever our leftover budget is. But some possibilities include, you can see we've listed some things there, potential for the Pell growth and expansion, partner organizations to co-locate, regional public safety training facility, and emergency vehicle storage.
So, we heard loud and clear, even the public recently, talking about, we want to make sure this isn't just a law enforcement facility. So, we do have an opportunity here to talk, I think we should be talking about community safety, and we'd have some options here. Whether it is an expansion of PAL, which I think had been discussed before, we could maybe be looking at some partner nonprofits who would make sense to be in this space where we have a lot of, safety activity going on. This is very much unknown, and again, I'm not sure. We'll have to see at that point
Pell
what
could
dollars we
probably
have.
use the whole property.
Huh?
So Pell could probably use the whole property.
Quite sure, yes.
Those guys did a heck of a job.
Yes, they do. So we present this just to say to you, we got to see after phase 2 what we have left.
I do like the idea of looking at potential partners. My brain, as long as it is safe and it makes sense, just around the cost sharing even component of this, because this, when we hit to this phase, the money part is just where we come back to, right? We've raised fees, we've raised taxes. In 2029, we're seeing things balloon pretty big, and so being able to have a cost sharing component here, I think makes sense.
Yeah, and we could seek other grants. I don't want to act like this is the end. I mean, we could seek grants, we could look for other revenue sources. So I just want to be realistic as we head into this. I think that's it.
I guess questions, comments?
I think we got them all in during the presentation. But, sorry.
It would be nice to see the municipal firefighters around us use that maze and training for their things too, collaborating.
Any other questions from any of the council members?
I don't have a question. My only concern is how we're going to pay for it. That's the bottom line,
Pay for what?
the whole thing.
Well, we have the bond issue that will probably cover
That's
phase
what I'm
2.
talking about.
Yeah. Oh, how we're going to pay for the bond issue? Well, that's
2028.
another conversation, yes.
I'm just guessing, I'm reminding everybody, we all can have love and dove here, because it's going to be a beautiful building, but our job is dollars and cents, folks. That's the bottom line. And we've got to be looking a lot more vigilantly than we have in the past. Don't want to end on a negative though.
No, but you're absolutely on point, because everybody, the pie hasn't gotten any bigger, and unless we do look at other ways to generate revenue, the reality of it is we spend more than we take in. And the sole we got a lot of responsibility over here, but chief amongst them is fiscal responsibility. And it's going to require some austerity at some point, somewhere. And it'll be some tough decisions. Absolutely. And so I appreciate that, and I don't think that that's a negative. I think that, because you can couch it that way, but I think just this overall thing, or the fact that we're having a discussion about it, and you're anticipating 2028, I think is really a positive thing. I think that's great, and I think that moving forward, at every conversation about every project, about every contract, about, in the back of my mind, is austerity. I want to treat people, households' money the way that I treat mine. And a lot of what I see in some, not Erie, of course, we don't always practice that way. And so from my experience at the county, we have the same issues legislatively, being a fiscal watchdog, and all of this stuff is good. Everything that comes down, but the bottom line, Mayor, is that these 7 people here appropriate that money, and we're going to have to be the ones who are held accountable for it. So.
The biggest thing, and I'll just do it again, because I always do. We're an older city, and there's an awful lot of folks living paycheck to paycheck. Social Security may be their only source of income. And they're getting hit with stormwater bills, garbage bills. I'm getting on my soapbox, so I'll calm down. But these folks can't take that anymore. And we know we're looking at a tax increase. I mean, it's inevitable, either that or receivership.
Yeah, Councilman, thank you for saying that, and I agree. I mean, this is your job, certainly. It's all of our jobs, but certainly a core of yours, and we understand what you're saying. I do think, you know, we are going to begin our work with PFM here very soon. You might have seen, maybe, I think there's an article running in the paper. They've begun their request of information from our finance department. So they'll be putting together their baseline projections. And so we together will have a lot of conversations with them as they lay out for us what 5 years looks like. If we do nothing, if we do something, what our debt, how our debt factors into that. They will really help us, I think, all to have a better picture. So I look forward to those conversations. It's coming. And you're right, I think there will be some hard things there, but I think PFM is going to help us really understand what we have and what we're facing, and then we can make decisions together from there.
A fresh aspect of that would be good. You know, they had our previous 5-year, but they never came back and said, we have to change things because of COVID. Because
Yep.
COVID changed a whole lot of things,
For sure.
but the fifth floor didn't. That's past history, but you're going to live with it.
We
because you
we
can.
moving forward though, and it's,
Exactly.
I think we have a good team here. I think we're ready to make tough choices and to face any challenges that come before us. I'm excited about working with all of you to that end.
Good point on that.
All right. Just as a reminder to those who are watching and to council that caucus starts at 5:30, starting next week. That'll give us an extra 30 minutes and hopefully reduce the amount of study sessions that we need so we can get a lot of it in there, and then go over that detailed agenda. So we'll meet again for our council session next week, and then we'll go ahead and conclude this study session if everyone is okay with it.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Kathy and Tyler, I was going